Big shout out to Cookies Barbecue, the sauce that America loves to eat. It should be on every Iowan's table. Smart cookies, choose cookies, ladies and gentlemen. You can find this online at cookiesbarbecue.com, at your local grocery store, Fairway and Hy-Vee. Thanks for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an episode, which I feel like is a better way to say the presentation of a new episode, because we'll let the people decide if it's hot or if it's spicy or if it's good at all.
Just us two this weekend.
Yeah, we have to step up. We haven't done that in a while.
That's good. Let's recap it. First, I want to start right away. We just had a winter storm last night.
Yes, we did, and that's actually why we had to record today, which is a Tuesday instead of a Monday.
You were unable to get to the office yesterday because of the apocalypse.
Which doesn't happen very often. I don't mind driving in the snow, but yesterday was one of those days where it was white out and we were already maybe at 3 or 4 inches, and I'm like, I don't think I really want to risk it.
No, from Colby told me some source that this is a storm that happens once in every 10 to 15 years.
Yes. Yep. Scott was saying that too. I didn't hear that myself, but apparently this is a storm that we don't get very often. I don't know if we get more than 12 inches. Is that the thing? I'm not really sure.
You guys got 13 and a half inches.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that makes sense. You don't see a lot of footers. So.
No, not at all. I think we ended up only get 7 to 8 inches, but it looks like we got about a foot because of the wind.
A lot of classic.
Drifts were everywhere.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was awesome. We went driving around last night and it was pretty bad.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing. Like, the plow crews are so good. Like, I didn't really experience much of it, but now, like, to dig myself out this morning and like, yeah, here we are. It's all good. I'll get to this in a second, but you almost missed the storm. My parents just flew down to Florida and are rubbing it in pretty heavily. They're like, we're not experiencing any of what you got going on. We got 75 and beach.
No. Well, honestly, I don't mind a little storm, so I'm actually pumped. I just got back from Texas, just experienced some of this weather. However, I do want to point out, has a winter storm ever happened on time?
No. And you're right. That's where I was going with that. We had a lot of pre-storm hype, and I'm like, okay, we've heard this before. This is not going to be a real big thing. And it kind of lived up to it, but maybe not as much for you. I don't know. You're in the northeast part of the state.
It definitely lived up to it, but it is, for some reason, every time when it says it's going to snow, like, at 9 a.m., I don't see the first snowflake till probably 3 o'clock that day. And it's just, it's ridiculous. A snowstorm has never happened before it's supposed to happen, but it's also never happened on time. It only happens after its estimated time.
Yeah. I mean,
I was discussing that yesterday. I just feel like, what the hell? It just never happens.
No, that's why I was a little surprised that we got that 12 or 13 and a half incher apparently, because there was so much hype. I'm usually used to people hyping it up so much that they just scare the storm away. But we got a submission, a meme today that was like, prepare for 0 to 85 inches, maybe the snow apocalypse, maybe you're living your normal day, stock up on food or maybe don't. Like, we just have no idea. And I just feel like that's the weather people in the state of Iowa.
That's very true, but I will give them credit. It finally did happen. This was a nasty little storm. So I'm not sure about the rest of the universities, but I know UNI has no classes today.
Nope. And I got
doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't happen.
Couple roommates sitting at home. Got one online teacher teaching the little kiddos over at Howe Elementary in Des Moines. We got Jeremy skipping out on work or something. I don't know. But yeah, tell me a little bit about Texas.
Man, I just got back to Texas. I'll tell you one thing: the sun never shined when I was down there. I didn't see the sun one time, but it was 55 degrees probably and rainy every other 4-6 hours. But it was okay. I had a great time. Texas food. I want to start right away with the barbecue and the brisket. As soon as you sniffed or licked that brisket, you immediately tell that you were not in Iowa. It was some of the best brisket I've ever had in my life, along with some of the green beans and tacos.
Head and shoulders above Iowa barbecue.
Damn, a lot better, bro.
I don't like to hear that. I really don't, because first of all, Texans have the biggest ego in the world, and
they do. Everybody on there, like, you got to move to Texas. It's so much better.
They got so much to brag about. I mean, here we are, small little Iowa, not a lot of noteworthy things. And like, I thought our barbecue was something that we could put our hats on. Apparently no.
No, the one brisket I had was unbelievable. It was, and it was at a Mexican restaurant, and I got brisket.
See, that's
So,
scary. Everyone's got brisket ability down there. If the
uh-huh.
Mexicans can do well, it's a big Mexican population down there, right?
Yep.
Were you in
So,
Houston?
Dallas, Fort Worth.
So a lot of people are moving down to Houston, Dallas, Austin. Big movement. Seems like a millennial cultural move down there. After visiting for a few days, is that something that you would consider?
No, it's
You
just
would
too
never,
populated.
you would never do that. Okay. Simply because of population.
Population is way too much for me. I like a little bit of space and room to breathe. But some of the culture I got experienced was a rodeo. I went to my first ever rodeo. You ever been to a rodeo?
Saw your Snap story. That looked hilarious. I've never been to a rodeo. What all goes down? Do they just have like one singular kind of, you try to get the guy off the bull kind of thing, or do they have other events?
I don't know. To be honest, I can't. Oh yeah. There's a few bull riding at the very end, but prior leading up that, they had a bunch of little cattle, and you have a dual partner. So you and your dual partner would be on a horse. You guys would be behind a cage, and boom, they would release the cattle. And the cattle go sprinting. The little calf would go sprinting out. And the two horsemen, I don't know, God forbid if some Texas person ever listens, that's not what they called it. But anyways, they would go on each side. One would rope it down. The other guy would jump off the horse, flip the calf around, and just tie the quickest knot I've ever seen in my life. And then boom, they'd be done in like 5-6 seconds. They'd have all the calves, 4 legs roped up in like 4 seconds after its release. It was insane. And there's a bunch of participants from Iowa, and we had some people from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, sitting right behind us too. So Iowans were definitely down there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you get a lot of, what would you call like Iowa cowboys? Like the guys that, they might have grown up on a farm. They wear the cowboy hat. They have the boots. They have the flannel, the buckled jeans. Do you call them a cowboy, or do you call what you saw the other night, Thursday night, a cowboy?
I can't. I don't know if I call any Iowan a cowboy ever.
Because this is a big.
We're just farmers, I feel like.
This is a big thing that I've argued for a long time. I'm like, you know what? It's like the cowboy culture that they're like endorsing, like our country culture. So like, it's just like the outfit, I guess. It's just like what you like. It's like dressing up like a rapper, or like dressing up like a businessman. But that is a big, big bone to pick with Jeremy. Absolutely hates that.
I've heard about the situation of Jeremy and what cowboys are. I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever. I have to see. To me, Iowans are just farmers.
I agree. And if you want to wear the cowboy hat, you want to wear the boots and everything, like, especially if you work on a farm, totally on board for it. But I think to be a cowboy, you kind of need to do like the whole horse, wrangling. You got maybe like a whole pasture, and you got like a dog, a herding dog. You kind of have to live the whole lifestyle, and otherwise you're not a cowboy. But he mentioned this. We had some people over, and he mentioned this, and it really infuriated. Ames kid, ag science major, was wearing his hat, and Jeremy's like, well, like, we don't really have cowboys here. He's like, he was very upset.
I can imagine so, but I don't know enough about that topic to get into it. Following the rodeo, there's the biggest bar in the world called Billy Bob's Bar. And I'm not joking. It was the biggest bar in the world. I think might have been 1,500 people, not a lot of social distancing going on in this bar, but we went to go see it out, and we got him the cover was like $50, but we got him for free because we went to the rodeo. Okay. And so it was a gigantic line, probably like a 200-yard line. And we got in within like 5 minutes because it's so big. There's some people going in. And they had like 3 different concerts going on, 3 different bands. Some very famous upcoming TikTok guy was there, some country guy singing. Mike was like, dude, I've been hearing about this guy. I'm not sure what his name was, posted on a story. A bunch of people are like, dude, I love this dude. So he was there. That was kind of cool. Met some really cool people. Met a cool couple that we talked to. They're just, the guy was from Canada, just moved to South Carolina last week. Met a girl on Tinder 2 days before that. And then they said, hey, for our first date, let's go to Texas and go to this concert.
Weird. So another random side note for you that you might have no opinions on, but I swear every time I'm traveling, I meet a Canadian.
Really?
I am serious. So senior trip going down to Florida, all the young people with us were Canadians. Going down to the Dominican Republic the last couple of years, we meet a Canadian every single year. And now I hear this story. I'm like, I swear they're everywhere, but then like you don't hear much of a Canadian in our area. Like we're as close as you can get, but then they're always down south.
True. I do like them though. I haven't.
Have you ever met a bad Canadian?
No, never. I've been to Canada too. Love them all.
What do you think is stronger, Canada nice or Midwest nice?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Canadian nice. Canada
I
nice.
don't think we even get I don't think we get the crown on that either.
I've never met one bad Canadian. And I mean, I'm not saying I've met a million, but never met one bad one.
So we don't have barbecue. We don't have nice.
We're a
We
shit.
don't. You can't move to Texas. If you move to Texas, who's going to represent?
No one.
We got nothing.
So we move on for the Billy Bods. A great time there. I'm not even sure, but it just feels like I went to Topgolf. Topgolf was really fun. I'm the source I've ever been because for 2.5 hours they had a long drive competition, and that's all Mike and I did for 2.5 hours. We swung as hard as we could just to see how far we get the ball, and I underestimated how much we were moving and and swinging our body because today and yesterday it was the source I think I've ever been.
What? So I see a lot of Topgolf on TikTok. I see it. I saw it in your stories. You just go to it's just a range. That's it. And
it's
then
like a range stack. It's like a
contests.
bar / it's the coolest thing ever. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. You can go with your buddies. You don't even have to golf. You can just sit in the booth and have a drink, have a good time. There's TVs on the nets that you hit out to, projectors, there's TVs everywhere. It's one of my favorite places in the world. It's fun. You can play all sorts of games. So that's just what we did for 2.5 hours. And then that's how we closed off our trip in Texas. Woke up early the next day and had a terrible flight home. I think people on the flight were praying for me. I was struggling.
One of the roommates came and picked you up. You were in rough shape. Looks like you're fully recovered now. It sounds like you also had some like unfortunate sports betting. Like I'm going to kind of jump a little bit of our topics here and kind of lump these sports betting things together. You had some unlucky bets in Texas.
Yep. We went through Kobe to play some of our bets. We just didn't catch a hot streak. So I'll start off Iowa loss, but we'll dive into here in the sports topic. And then we came back, said whatever, and then got lucky with one big bet, and here we are.
Did you lose money on McGregor?
Yeah, I think everybody in the world did.
Lost money on McGregor. I lost money on Iowa. And then we wake up the next day. We win a couple bucks and get the free touchdown bet that everybody in the world wins. So I don't feel that good about myself. But you had a huge one. This is like, if I would have done this, I would have been having the best week ever. So give me the run through of your big win of the weekend.
So we get back. We're just the first game of the day is the Green Bay Packers versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and there was a mystery boost challenge thing, and that showed up in our DraftKings thing. And I said odds boost increase for Mike Evans to score the first touchdown of the game. But I also had $100 free bet, so you can't do both. You can either do the mystery boost, bet your own money, or just do $100 free. And I said, whatever, I lost enough, so I'm just gonna throw my $100 free on Mike Evans, which paid out $1,000. And I'm like, well, he's got to score the first touchdown of the game. I'm like, they got to get the ball first. They got the ball first. There was one big, like 30-yard pass to Mike Evans. We're like, oh, and he caught it. And we're like, oh, okay, we're getting close. Like, we didn't think this was realistic. And then right before it's like 15 yards out, third down, they circle him on the TV. Like, all right, look at Mike Evans matchup right here. I really like this matchup. Jeremy, Ben, and I all stand up. Last snap, and you see Brady look over to the left part of the end zone, lobs it to Mike Evans, and there was number 13 came down with the ball, and we just went nuts. Like, holy shit, he got it. We just went nuts.
I'm just upstairs nursing a hangover, and you guys are going nuts. And I'm like, she's like, what happened? And I'm like, oh, Nate definitely just won a bet. And then Jeremy comes up, he's like, Nate just won $1,000. So I had to come down and see after that. I was pretty pumped up.
Yeah, so I was starting to feel better from my hangover, and then that happened.
I bet that helped
for maybe 5 minutes, and then I screamed and yelled so hard that it brought it right back. So the rest of the day I was nursing that.
Have a couple beers and call it a day.
Yep. But overall, it feels good to finally win that big one. That might be the biggest one in my life. It is.
That's one of those like good ones, and it can keep you in the game. I'm at the point where I'm almost betting on my own money that I started depositing. So I'm getting a little like hesitant, a little gun shy because I wish I might show you right now. I am on a huge losing streak. Like I have not won a bet in days, and it did start with Iowa, which you can get into if you want to. I haven't lost a lot of bets on Iowa. That's what really upset me. Like I was doing really well, like predicting like their scores at each half and like their their final tallies. Like I was getting the spread, obviously betting on them to win.
Yeah, that was my first one I've lost on Iowa too.
Look at this. Look at that.
Yep.
That's I mean that's days. I haven't won in days.
Oh, um, yeah. So
What's your breakdown of the Indiana game?
Iowa. First half was good. Just the way Iowa likes to keep opponents close. Sometimes in the first half, it's at Carver. We're up maybe 7.5. I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to blow these guys away in the second half, and we just couldn't make a single three. Luka really couldn't get going. Nobody could get going. Joe Wieskamp was hot in the first half. He couldn't get going. Anytime J-Bo doesn't make a three in a game, we lose.
Yeah, I saw that stat. How important his 3-point shooting is to the success of the overall game. In the first half, I think I shared. I mean, everyone on Twitter was like, "How do we feel about this first half?" And everyone's like, "Amazing! Like this is great! Like we're controlling the game." It was probably a little too close for comfort, just by how like hot we were. They were only down 6 points or something like that. And I've never seen a team go colder. And I want to take credit for it. I did jinx us. I said Luka Garza is unstoppable. I'm like, I don't know who else besides Baylor and Villanova that can beat us. And then we couldn't score a bucket. And it looked like the most frantic offense I've ever seen. Garza gets pushed out. We're passing the ball around the perimeter with not a lot of, aggressive lane cuts I mean, there was no offensive pressure whatsoever. And I maybe give credit to Indiana, but it just looked like we were never going to score again.
Yeah, definitely credit due to Indiana. They did their job out with the absence of CJ Frederick. Like, I mean, I don't even think he scored in the first half, but just not having him on the court, just losing that personnel really takes a damage to your offense. And obviously, like we said, when J-Bo just doesn't hit a three, it's hard for him to really contribute to a game. Well, it's something we move on for. So, unfortunately, we only moved back the number 7. I can take it.
It kind of like cool. Flipped with Michigan, right?
I'm not sure about the rest of the rankings, but yeah, I just thought we just moved to number 7, which I'm okay with after that loss.
Baylor did end up coming back. They were down for a second. Villanova it's 1 Villanova, 2 Baylor. Michigan's 4. I don't know 3 at this point.
Might 1 Gonzaga.
Villanova. Yeah, 1 Gonzaga. My bad. Villanova's 3.
3.
Then Michigan 4. So I mean, yeah, not bad. Definitely fine. We didn't get the game against Nebraska on Sunday, which is too bad because I think that would have been a good rebound game.
Big game coming up Thursday or Friday against Illinois, so we'll have to see where the Hawks rebound from that. But a team that is hot in the state of Iowa returns to action tonight. And dude, I'm telling you, I'm the biggest Drake Bulldog fan in the state right now.
Yeah, we need to hype them up more. Like Luka Garza's fun and all, and like I think the Hawks are gonna be real deal this year. But Drake hasn't been good in years. We got to be excited about this Drake Bulldogs team.
Exactly. 13-0. They were off for the last 2 weeks due to COVID, but they come back to an aggressive opponent at 91 Missouri State. So this is battle for top 3 or top 2 dogs in the conference at Missouri State too.
It's coming up, or they just played them?
No, tonight. Tonight's the first game back.
Oh, let's go.
I'm not sure if it's on TV or not, but I would assume so. So I will probably be tuning in.
I'm going to try and catch it. I mean, I'm in Des Moines. I would go to the game probably tonight if I could. I really want to see them play. I haven't seen a lot of their players. I don't know what to expect. We'll get into the fan question from this. I got to say the Twitter name because it's something really special. I mean, just something like cult leader Sweetie Pie says, is this team better than Adam Emenecker's 2008 Bulldogs team? So it's going to be hard for me to speak on this because I don't know this team very well, but I remember loving that 2008 Drake team with Emenecker and Clayton Korver from Pella. Shout out.
Yeah. Korver was on that team. Adam Emenecker was the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year in 2008. Drake, I remember that 2008 team had a very competitive battle of number 5 Butler at Butler and on Fieldhouse. I can't remember what that arena was called. So Drake did show a little bit. They had more of a competition up to this point of the season where this year's team is 13-0. They've played biggest team they played so far is maybe Kansas State, but they've beat everyone by double digits. So as of for now, if I would have to take the 2008 Drake Bulldogs.
Unwritten
this
story
team could very well prove us wrong without a doubt.
Totally an unwritten story this far. I'd say not battle tested yet. Down year potentially in the Missouri Valley, I'd say, especially from UNI, who has been top of the conference for the last decade. So hard to say, but I would like to predict that Drake is a contender for a Sweet 16.
Yeah. That 2008 team does have one of the most heartbreaking losses I've ever seen in an NCAA tournament against Western Kentucky. They were getting beat by maybe 12. Drake they were hot that season, came back, took the lead by 2 with like 4 seconds left. Western Kentucky inbounds it, and the guy hits a deep fadeaway 3 that went in like overtime at the buzzer.
Yeah.
And that hurt. So hopefully this year's team can prevail. They got some dudes that are athletic and that can dunk out of the gym. And speaking of the hotness, Tim Doyle, a CBS sports analysis reporter, has predicted his Final Four a week ago, and he's got Gonzaga, Baylor, Drake, and Iowa in the Final Four. Could you imagine the state of Iowa?
Oh,
if that were to take place.
I can't. I don't. I mean, we need so many things. We don't have barbecue, Nate. We don't have Midwest Nice. We don't own Iowa Nice. We need something to hang our hats on, and I think that would just absolutely bring the house down.
This is the year if it's ever going to happen.
Especially would have been cool if we were actually hosting it like we were the year before, 2 years before.
Yep. Well, it's not too far away. At least it's in the Midwest this year and up in Indianapolis. The entire tournament will be there. So
yeah,
but I don't think we'll be able to go watch.
I'm pumped. So we'll definitely have to catch the game by the time we release the episode. It'll have been done, but we'll have to keep an eye on the Drake Bulldogs. There's nothing to sleep on there. And I do think that Iowa is going to rebound this week and continue to be the Final Four hopeful that everyone is looking for. I didn't catch the Iowa State game last night. I chose to watch Texas Tech and West Virginia instead.
That was a good game.
Yeah, Mac McClung was looking really good. Excited about. I don't know if they're going to compete against Baylor, but they looked good. They looked like they were lethal. They can score.
Mm-hmm.
Got the fan question done. 28-5 from the Drake Bulldogs. Yeah. We mentioned Conor McGregor. We all lost money on Conor McGregor. Do you think that America's done with Conor McGregor?
I think so. It's time for him to maybe quit. And it's before he jeopardizes his career, as right now he's considered as one of the best UFC fighters to ever compete. And each time he plays, every other time he just loses now. I didn't even get to see the match. I just found out. I heard he lost, but I heard it wasn't good.
He's now lost to Khabib, Mayweather, Poirier, and I forget who else. But
before he knows it, he's gonna be losing to Jake Paul.
I think that's more real than we think now, especially because he's just gonna be looking for payouts.
Did you see that Jake Paul has a fight coming up? It's an official fight on April 17th versus a UFC fighter.
Does he? Okay.
Yep.
So
I just saw today.
It's not as unlikely as people think.
No. When you have the power and influence, and, like he's already won a match in the ring, although it was against a former NBA player. So we'll really get to see him test the waters with him and Logan competing against some of the world's best.
Yeah, I mean, Logan lost to a real fighter. Logan, his brother, who I think has been doing the exact same kind of training, lost to fight. And like when you go up against real fighters, real people in the industry, like you're not just gonna. It's not Nate Robinson. We'll just say that he's not professionally trained like KSI, who Logan lost to. So we'll be. I mean, it'll be a great event to watch. So that I don't really mind. Like I don't care about the integrity of fighting. I care about the fanfare of it. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I do like watching these famous celebrities and names kind of come in and fight.
Yeah,
it's like I'm not very familiar with UFC and boxing, so I maybe know like a couple of them. But when I hear like these famous influencers come in and step into the ring, I'm like, okay, let's see what you got.
Yeah, and I already liked Rough and Rowdy. I think Barstool was genius buying that up, and that's a step below what we're seeing now, where these real celebrities are getting in the ring and like providing really pretty quality fighting. Like these guys clearly have been working their asses off to be really good, and their name alone will carry a kind of a fun atmosphere.
Right. So I'm excited for that. Anything else that we're looking forward? Oh, the Super Bowl.
Yep.
The big
should we hold off for predictions, or what do you think? I mean, I love seeing TB12.
You don't ever bet against TB12 in the playoffs. No. That's all I know.
How stupid were we? Like, you don't bet against Tom Brady.
He just finds a way to win. Although I did think the Packers I didn't bet on the game or anything. I just had the one lucky bet, but I did think the Green Bay Packers were going to win that game at Lambeau in a cold conditions. So
I did too. I didn't put any money down because I told my brother right before the game, I'm like, you don't bet against Tom Brady. And I should have put money down because, again, you don't. this was kind of, if you're a Packers fan, this is one of those super sad moments. I've been in that position as a Vikings fan in maybe 2 or 3 games over the last decade. This is one of those where you felt like you had all the pieces and you just face one of the best to ever play football. And
Right. That is super unfortunate. You did feel like it was maybe the Packers' year, especially if all home games leading up to the Super Bowl. And like you sit there and wonder how many more chances are we going to have with Aaron Rodgers. That's really something you have to start reflecting on.
yeah.
And does he want to stay there or not? So
He's been on Pat McAfee every Tuesday for the last 9 months, and I've caught the last few episodes since the playoffs, and he explains basically like how you have to string everything together, like how it takes so much coordination from offense, defense, special teams, and like you just don't get those perfect Super Bowl combinations very often. So that, you're definitely sad because you're like, how many more times? Whereas you've seen Brady every year.
he just finds a way to do it. I mean, let alone Brady has one of the most elite offensive weapons name-wise in the history of the NFL. I mean, Godwin, Evans, Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette. So credit to Brady, though. I won't take anything away from him.
Would you rather play with Mahomes' weapons or with Tom Brady's?
I would rather play with Tom Brady's weapons, but I would way rather have Mahomes throw me the ball.
Fair. I think I agree with that. The names that you just listed off for Tampa Bay are just unreal, which I think you need when you're.
I don't even get how that happens. I don't understand. It's like LeBron James putting together a team, which LeBron James had the killer night last night too, which I'm pumped up about.
I saw that. I'm pumped about the Lakers. Any other things like? There's still not a lot going on in Iowa. We're still getting corona'd hard. I have high hopes for later in the year. Big state fair announcements that we can release at some point. That will be a blast. We'll probably be at the state fair for 10 days. Yeah, big announcement there at some point. But not a lot going on right now. Should we get into the saucy question, or do you have anything else?
Let's get into the saucy question. We'll keep this episode nice and short. Our last couple episodes have been a little longer. Interviews with some of our guests, Moonlight Graham and Keith Murphy. If you guys haven't listened to those, go back and listen to them. We enjoyed those conversations.
What's your favorite interview so far?
I think Keith or Moonlight Graham, Tim Flattery. Tim Flattery, maybe Tim Flattery, just because I've been listening the entire summer. I'm excited just to kind of talk to this guy, and he really brings out his personality into the podcast, as well to Keith Murphy.
Yeah, Tim, Keith, and Peter, maybe in that order. For me.
Peter for sure. I forgot about Peter, but yeah, some of the current athletes are just kind of more restricted to what they can say. It's more of like, hey, we've done these podcasts and interviews all season long. We just want to say probably the same shit and get the hell out of here.
Yeah. So, the format's nice. The Zoom is good and everything. I would like to be in person with some of these guys, but my gosh, getting an interview with some of these guys is tough, especially at the University of Iowa, not to, speak badly, but it's hard to ask anything super interesting because of how much they're keeping an eye on what they're saying.
Right. And we respect their image and everything. So
sure. We don't want to be the reason that anyone gets kicked off or anything.
No, not at all.
Okay. Should we sauce it up?
Let's sauce this thing up.
Cookies, barbecue. Saucy question of the week. Would you rather have a girlfriend that tries to fit in with the boys, try to be one of the boys and watch sports, or would you rather be forced to watch reality TV?
Okay. Well, here's the sticky situation. We both have girlfriends, so we have to strategically line this answer with our girlfriends' personalities. But if they didn't exist,
which they do.
Which they do. We love them very much. But if they did not exist, I would say somewhere can I go in between? Is that possible?
Yeah. If you want to be
you got to have a fair share, like
I have a little weenie answer.
Oh God. I respect my boys' time. I like reality TV. So I would have her, I think I'd rather have her watch reality TV and then through the week, and then on weekends, every other weekend, I get to sit with the boys and just catch some sports and talk boy stuff.
Yeah, which I think at some level there's a luxury that we both have. Like, I don't think either Julia or Darian really like sports.
No, Julia loves sports.
Does she? Okay.
She's
So,
a huge sports fan.
you
But
got
she
a little
likes
bit of that
reality
then.
TV.
That is tough for you.
Yeah.
Darian doesn't like sports, so it's not that hard of a question for me. I also don't hate reality TV. We talked a lot in the first round of the podcast about The Bachelor. I don't hate The Bachelor.
If I get into The Bachelor, I get into it.
Yeah. So, it depends on it. I never watched Jersey Shore. I never watched a little bit Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Don't hate it. Don't love it. Don't choose to watch it. But it's nice to keep guy time separate. I'll say that. That's my final answer is I'd rather have a girl that tries to just be herself, watch what she watches and does her thing and doesn't try to be one of the guys.
I agree. And Bryce, I think that's the best answer without getting us in trouble. Let's hope this plays out.
We should not be in the doghouse after that.
Yes.
Cool. Well, that's a wrap on the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely give it a listen. We're growing, we're building. There's been some good interviews. We have a lot of fun ones coming up. Super Bowl predictions next week for sure. Maybe some gambling advice. I think that we've gotten to a point where we can start giving out advice. We've been betting for 3 weeks and people can take that for what they will and listen to us.
Yeah. So I did withdraw all my money after that big winning, but I left $60 in there just to have fun. So I tried getting rid of that $60 last night on the Virginia Syracuse over, but they won it. So now
you got it.
Gambling. So now I have to keep gambling.
So your hot streak. Actually, I'll ask the questions, you give the answers, and then we'll call that our gambling segment.
As much as people want to take it, I go in streaks and then I go in some bad streaks. So
well, they just saw all my reds, so I don't think I'll be giving the advice, but